Welcome to June. We have a new theme for the month. We are living from divine wisdom. Don't you love that? That's a great theme for June, living from divine wisdom. So we're going to go deep this month. So strap on, hang in there, because we're going deep. And today's talk is, oddly enough, God is, I am. See how it all works out? Isn't that clever? Oh my God, see, we're so good. We're all on the same page. So what we're saying is, God is, I am. God is, I am. Okay, so let's look at the first part of that. God is. Okay, so that's truth. Now, some people don't believe that, right? There are people that don't believe in God. That's okay. They believe in energy, don't they? I mean, you couldn't get through high school physics without knowing about energy or chemistry or biology or any of those things, right? We believe in energy, don't we? Same thing. Same thing, right? God is. God is. And so if we think of it as energy, doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. You know, the traditional old man, long white beard, up on a cloud, blessing some, smiting others, depending on which side of the cloud he got up on. Not that God. Okay? So I'm assuming, now I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that everybody in this room believes in something, the existence of some energy, some spirit, divine source, first cause, universal intelligence, something, right? We don't have to define it. In fact, we shouldn't define it, right? In fact, the Tao says if you define it, you're limiting it. So once we say what it isn't that. It's more. So I think everybody in this room, we're kind of in agreement that there's something, some undefinable, original, universal source, right? So we do believe that first part of that phrase, God is. Okay, so we call it God. You can call it anything. You can call it mind or intelligence or volition or first cause or higher power or Bob. I love calling it Bob. It makes it really personal to me. Makes it really personal. So you can call it whatever you want. It's that power that has created the universe and continues to create. It exists. We assume that it exists because we exist, you know. We just assume that it is that energy that has created the outpicturing of the universe and is continuing to create, right? The universe is continuing to expand. Galaxies are continuing to be formed. Galaxies are continuing to implode. That creative, dynamic creative force is always at work. It is continuing to work. So when we say God is, that's what we're referring to. This universal intelligence that has created everything out of its own energy and continues to create. So we believe God. We believe God, or whatever you want to call it, exists, right? It exists. So that's the whole first part of that saying. God is. And then we say, I am. God is, I am. Okay, so we're saying we exist. Thank you. We exist, right? God is, I am. So God exists, I exist. God is, I am. That makes perfect sense. If God created everything and we're here, then we exist also. We exist as well. So God is, I am. Now you can take that phrase, God is, I am, and you can take the comma out of it. And it says, God is, I am. God is, I am, meaning the great I am. You know, like the Wizard of Oz, I don't know, you know. the great and powerful I am. God is that. That's really what we can say. We take the comma out of it, and we're saying God is, I am. God is, I am. You know, the I am that I am, you know, in the Bible. You know that book. It's there. The Hebrew words in Exodus 3:14 for I am that I am is, and I'm going to screw this up. I know I am. Eya Ashir Eya, which was translated into, thank you. my husband said I got it right. Okay, so it's translated into I am that I am. But more accurately, what it says is I will be what I will be. And in the Rotherham Bible, in that interpretation, it actually says, I become whatsoever I may become. And now that really is what we're speaking to, isn't it? That infinite intelligence that can become whatever it desires to take form into. That is the expression in Exodus 3:14. I become whatsoever I may become. That's the expression. So using that translation, I become whatsoever I become, we see the relationship between that phrase and the name the Old Testament gave to God, which is Yahweh, because that is translated as he who becomes. That's what that word means, he who becomes. So the I am is always becoming. It is always becoming, and don't you realize that in your own life? Your life is always becoming. You are always becoming something. It is always happening. It is always expressing. It's always out-picturing. Your life is always changing. A greater expression is always revealing itself as you. This is the divine creative process. The I am of all of us is becoming something, you know? And so we know in John 1:14, I think it is, 1:14, where he says, in the beginning was the Word, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So God is the I am. God is the Word. I am, and then it follows with the word, right? It is a command. It is a creative command that gives direction to the divine creative process. And since we are made in the image and likeness, it begins our personal command that we are making on the law. We are made in the image and likeness of the divine creative mind. So we create our little microcosm of a world very much the same way the universe is created. We use this divine creative intelligence to outpicture our lives. God is, I am, God exists, I exist. We are all created from the same source, from the same stuff. We create our individual lives the same way universal intelligence creates. So when we speak our word, our I am, into being with power and authority, we change the conditions around our life. We speak our word, saying, I am whatever. And this is where it gets crazy. Because what do you say? What is your great I am? Right? I'm broke. Right? Some people speak that into being. I am lonely. I'm unhappy. I'm happy. I'm struggling. I'm fat. Whatever. We're speaking the great I am. We're using the power of the universe to outpicture our personal I am. Our word becomes law in our lives. So what is your word of God that you are most often speaking into being? What is your I am? What is your I am? Love. I am love. What is your I am? Call it out. Happy. What? Wholeness. Joy, abundance. Those are the I am speaking itself into being. Same exact divine creative process. So here we are, always creating, always creating. God is the Word. We are that. We are the I am. We speak our word just like universal intelligence spoke its. And we speak into being our word. And our word is law. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, that divine energy, which is creative, is mine to use because God is, I am. If then we believe God is substance, God is food, God is shelter, God is happiness. God is life. And we wish to enjoy and experience that life, which God is. We must claim for ourselves everything that we claim for God. For God and human are one. So everything that we say about God, everything that all of those attributes that we assign to Spirit, they're up there. Yay, they are really this time. We had a different banner up last time I referred to it, and it wasn't there. But look at all of those qualities of God: peace and wholeness and joy and love and freedom and power and peace, all of those things that we attribute to Spirit. That is us. That is us. Everything God is, we are. That's what Ernest Holmes said. God is abundance. We are that. God is love. We are that. God is wisdom. We are that. That's the way it works. It's not about trying to be more spiritual. Stop trying to be more spiritual. It's so frustrating, isn't it? It's about allowing our true spiritual nature out. It's about allowing it to come out and play. It's about allowing our authentic spiritual self to be revealed in the world. It's about going about being your true, authentic spiritual self in the world. We go on these never-ending quests, don't we? To get more spiritual. We do. We go on weekends, and we go on retreats, and we take classes, and we read books, and and it's like we just keep trying to be more spiritual, to be more loving, to be more wise. Like there's something out there that we have to get in here. But all along it is in here. All along it is already within us. Everything is within us. All of that. Everything is within us. And we're out here busy hoping, that we're going to get it somehow. We're going to discover what's out there. It's kind of like, it's kind of like sometimes in our philosophy, I think our guiding principle is seek but do not find. Because we're looking in all the wrong places. We're looking out there. We're trying to find completion somehow out there, and it's not out there. Ernest Holmes says, when we are ready for the smallest iota of truth, it will be as though it had waited patiently at the doorway of our consciousness throughout eternity. It's there. It is always there. It is within us. God is, I am. God is, you are. God is, you are. God is, you are. So what happens? Right? What happens? How do we forget that? How do we forget that? How do we get so hypnotized by the effects of the world that we forget our true power? We forget our true standing. We forget the truth of us, that seed of perfection that is nestled within us, the great I am, the great and powerful yam, which is within us, that will not be denied. It cannot be denied. But we fall into the trap of duality, this and that, good and bad, hot and cold, day and night. We begin to think there really is a hate that is opposed to love. We really start to believe that there really is a lack as opposed to abundance, and we have to fight against it. But it's not true. Everything in God is a unity, is a unified wholeness. We talk about all these qualities. There are no opposites to those qualities. There are no opposites to those qualities. What we call love and hate is the duality we've created in our own minds right here on earth. There is no such thing. There's only love. These qualities of God have no opposites. There's only love. And we demonstrate as much of it or as little of it that we believe, that we embody, that we demonstrate. So we act out with the least amount of love we possibly muster together. We call it hate. But there's really only love. Love or the absence of it. And here's the thing. Those conditions that we are challenging ourselves with in the quote-unquote real world, there is no real world, there's truth, right? But those conditions we challenge ourselves with, they are calls to awaken. stuff. I said it, stuff. All that stuff that happens in your life, I'm being really good. All that stuff that happens in our lives, all those conditions, they are a call for us to awaken. Our daily life and all the stuff we have to deal with in our daily life is the raw material for our soul to go deeper into its truth, right? It is a call for our soul to go deeper into what we know is truth. That fight over who takes out the trash, or the betrayal by a coworker, or getting stood up on a date, or, the car breaking down on the way to that job interview that's really, really important that you really wanted. That is all grist for the mill for us to awaken to the truth of our own divinity. Those conditions are a call for us to awaken and to draw on that perfection that we are, that seed of perfection that is nestled within us. All grist for the mill, all of these events, all of these conditions, all of these challenges to our peace, all of the challenges to our ability to, all of that. It's a call for us to awaken to our true nature. So we ask ourselves when those things happen, what would love do? What would love do? Right? That's the thing that we contemplate when life goes upside down. What would love do? You look at your checkbook, right? And you start getting that ugly feeling in your, okay, wait, but wait, there can't be more bills because look, there's no more money in the checkbook, wait, this is not working out well. You feel the tightness of lack, right? What would abundance do? What would abundance do? When that feeling of stuckness comes up in you, same old, day in, day out, right? And we begin to really, really hate what we're doing. What would freedom do? What would freedom do? We go back to these qualities. When we start getting caught up in duality, right? This and that, and people telling you, well, you have to face reality. It's who wants to face reality? I'd rather be in truth, But when people tell you that, what is it? What is it? We get caught up in duality because, it's reasonable, because we're dealing with it all the time. But when we get caught up in duality, what would oneness do? What would oneness be? And we have to act from that. When we become overwhelmed by circumstances, by conditions in our lives, we have to remember who we are. We are the great I am. We have to remember who we are. We rise above conditions, and we see things from first cause, right? There's two people talking to each other. So, hey, how you doing? Well, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got, But I'm doing it right under the conditions. You don't want to be under the conditions. You exist over the conditions. Your great I am is above the conditions. We want to remember our oneness. At the level of first cause, at the level at which we speak our word and our word becomes law, at that level there are no conditions, right? If you remember the teaching symbol, the conditions come where? Right down there at the point of the teaching symbol. In the physical world, we remember who we are because at the level of first cause, there is no duality. They're just the qualities of spirit. And we speak our word into that, and we become that word. Remember, we become the prayer. And then we start to vibrate at that frequency, at that level. Remember, our philosophy is one of practical spirituality. It is practical. That means we practice it, please. That's what we do. This is not theory. You don't come here every week just to hear me speak. I'm so good today. Because it's not just theory. It is not theory. It is a practical spirituality. You should be able to leave here today and you put these things into practice. You start doing all of this stuff that we're talking about. You go to prayer. You do prayer once or twice or 3 or 6 1,000 times a day if need be. You go to prayer when you need to go to prayer. You meditate twice a day, at least. At least. Because why? Because then you're not attached to the stuff that happens in the world. When we meditate, what is it? We center ourselves. We get centered, and then we're not attached. I don't mind what happens. I don't mind what happens when I have a really strong meditative practice. We do yoga. We do visioning. We do all of these things. Why? To remind ourselves who we are. Who we are. Because when we fall into the conditions, and isn't that a daily thing? Well, maybe, I'm sorry, it is for me. I fall into the conditions. You know, sometimes you go on the road and things happen. Sometimes you get on the freeway and someone cuts you off. You're like, you can go into reaction. When you have that daily spiritual practice, you don't mind what happens. We are eternal beings. We are greater than the conditions. And when we fall into the conditions, we need reminders. And those things that we do, those practices, the word stones. Anybody have word stones in their pocket? Peace or peace or joy or love. They are tokens. They are reminders. Ernest Holmes said we are free from dogma, dualism, and superstition, right? So we're not superstitious about them. Oh my God, like there's some power in this stone or in this bracelet. No, it's that I look at it and I go, oh yeah, I remember I'm abundance, right? The stone in my pocket, I put my hand in my pocket, it's like, oh yeah, I remember I'm power or I'm peace or whatever. So those are reminders for us to get back to the truth of who we are. So when we fall into the conditions, it's like, aha, I remember. I am powerful beyond measure. I am the great I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. It is in there. There's no special power in the word stones or the bracelets or anything, but when we touch them, we remember. They remind us of our higher nature, and that's their purpose. That's it. Our true nature. We remember that God is I am. That's powerful. That I am then is followed by our word. I am truth, I am love, I am joy. And when you think about this phrase, God is, I am, what are we really talking about here but affirmative prayer? Think about it. We affirm, right, in the 5-step prayer. First is recognition. Well, what's recognition? God is. What is unification, the second step? I am. So we're saying the first 2 steps of our affirmative prayer just in that phrase. God is, I am. And then what do? We get to the 3rd step, realization or declarative. That's the word. That is the word that the I am is speaking. And then thanksgiving and release. We leave the how up to Spirit. We're not involved in the how. We just release it. Ernest Holmes said this, all cause and all effect proceed from the invisible Spirit. You are one with that Spirit and cannot be separated from it. Your word has power because your word is the action of God through your thought. That's huge. That is huge. You stand with the great I am as the great I am in your own personal life. We hold the high watch on our own thoughts. You make sure you're not dabbling in dualism, right? You go back to the truth. You refine your I am. So no wishy-washy I am statements like, well, if you could do this for me, I'd really like it if you could. But if you can, I'll take whatever you can get. No, you stand in your I am. Okay? You stand in it. You refine your I am statement so you're saying it from power, from truth, from passion, purpose, all those other P words. We turn away from duality or thoughts of fear or lack or limitation because Spirit knows nothing of those. Spirit knows this, the absolute. And we align with that. And we speak our word from the highest consciousness that we can hold for ourselves. And conditions change around us to reflect that. That is the great I am. Ernest Holmes said this, today, just soak this in, I love this. This was from Spiritual Awareness. Today I endeavor to radiate happiness to everyone, to bless everything I contact, I know that everything that transpires in my experience brings happiness and success. I rest in calm expectation, in enthusiastic anticipation of every event that is to transpire. Because God is, I am. Because love is, I am protected. Because goodness is, I am safe. Because abundance is, I am prosperous. Because happiness is, I am filled with joy. I rejoice in the good that is mine now.